Dynamic potential should be one of the best parts of career mode. If a player performs well during the season and gets plenty of playtime, his potential should increase beyond what they start off with. It makes total sense, right? Well, today I'll be looking at how dynamic potential should work, finding out what actually does cause potential to grow, and finding out if it does actually work at all in FC25. The idea behind dynamic potential is really good. Some players just have hilariously low potentials, like how at the start of last year, Cole Palmer had just 81 potential. As of today, he now has 91 potential. On old games like FIFA 13, if your player had low potential, you were kinda screwed, because 81 would have been as good as Cole Palmer could have got about a decade ago. But now, if you have a good season with someone who's 81 potential, it has the chance to increase to 83. The season after, it could go up to 86, and with enough good seasons in a row, it could go all the way up to 99. Thanks to dynamic potential, you can actually take any player up to 99 potential. That means that if you have a player you really like who has good potential like Nwaneri, you could instead get an elite version of Nwaneri. In fact, because of his growth this year, we're going to be using him and his new higher potential for our experiment today. So we're going to simulate a season and have a look at how Nwaneri's potential actually grows. So this is how Nwaneri has done this year. It's been a pretty good season where he got 20 goals and 20 assists. In fact, that's one of the best breakout seasons of all time. Not bad for a 71 rated player. If we open FIFA Live Editor, we can have a look at a lot of his information, but if we zoom in right here, we can see his current overall and his current potential. You can see that this is currently correctly showing as 87, which is the regular potential on the day that I recorded this video. But if we fast forward to next year, we can see how this changes. I'm hoping that because of how good the season was that he's just had, his potential will increase by at least 2, and as you can see here, his potential has now gone up to 89. Going from 87 to 89 is a pretty big jump. It takes him from being as good as someone like Raheem Sterling at his best, to being as good as Jude Bellingham is right now. So now we know that potential does actually work in FC25. That's great news. EA haven't actually broken it this year like they have done a ton of times in the past. But can we figure out what has the biggest impact? We can change a few things here to see what changes it, but I'm going to be looking at goal output and their average rating first of all. I've picked these two things because they're two things that you can directly impact inside your career mode save. If scoring more goals but keeping your average rating the same is a way to improve your potential, then that's really unfair for defenders. Whereas if your average rating is the only thing that matters, it actually kind of makes sense to just play a player in one match, do really well with them, and never play them again. But first of all, let's change the amount of goals that Nwaneri scored last year. Now he's gone from scoring 20 to scoring more than Erling Haaland has with 50 goals, while also assisting another 50. We haven't changed his average rating, so surely that potential should be at least a +4 if you're having a season this good, right? And actually this time we got a +5. So goals and assists do matter, which honestly I'm a little bit surprised about. I really did think the biggest thing would be the average rating, which in this example didn't actually change. I did the exact same thing, this time changing Nwaneri's average rating, but he also grew by 5. That makes me think that it is strictly goal output that affects a player's potential increase, but also this is just a sample size of 1. So in fact, I've gone back and I've done this another 10 times. In every single time, he grew by 5 when he scored 50 goals. If we scored 60 with him, he still grew by 5, and if we scored 40 with him, he still grew by 5. There's clearly some kind of threshold that made him grow from a +2 to a +5, but I couldn't figure out exactly where it was, so if someone wants to do that experiment for me, that would be a super big help. One disappointing thing I did notice though, was that the AI's players will never have any potential change. It doesn't matter how well they do, what they win, if they win Ballon d'Ors, World Cups, Champions Leagues, or which club they move to. It doesn't matter if Saka moves to Norwich City, he will still hit his potential. It will never increase, it will never decrease, he will always get to his potential no matter what. This means that you'll never get someone like Jamie Vardy rising from League 2 to play in the Premier League unless you're the one in control of them, or they already had potential to be at this level from day one of your save. So now we know that form doesn't really matter if you want to increase potential. What else do we know that can actually change it? Well, it can increase or decrease when you sign a player, and it's the same when you send them out on loan. This was actually a really famous exploit over a long time, where you could loan a player out, record them on one day, and they would get a +3 or +4 potential boost as soon as they returned to your club. This actually does still work on FC25, so you can check this in two ways. First of all, you can see their potential. If you're playing on PC, you can just look at it, but if you're on console, if they were a great potential before, now they might be an exciting prospect. That means you've increased their potential. If the description of the player's potential hasn't actually changed, there is another way to see if their potential has gone up, which is by going onto the financials tab and seeing if the value is green. If it's green, that means their potential went up. If it's red, it means their potential went down. Super easy to do. So I think everything so far has been pretty straightforward in this video, but there are a few things that really don't make sense. I don't think it's fair that teams that are fighting relegation are more likely to get potential loss on their players, while teams that are successful in the league below are going to get potential increases. Players will get more experience playing at the bottom of the Premier League in real life, but in FIFA, this is reversed, and players that are good in the Championship will improve faster than players that aren't doing so well in the top division. I think it's also a bit weird that attackers get more average rating boost for one goal than a defender does for a clean sheet. Because you can score 3 or 4 goals in a game, that means that one clean sheet is worth about half of a goal. But I think the thing that's most unexpected about dynamic potential is something I actually only learnt over the past couple of days. So we all know the Ballon d'Or, we know what it is, right? Your player has a season like the one we gave Nwaneri, they'll probably win the Ballon d'Or and get an animation. But because of this post on Reddit, I can confirm there's actually no age limit on dynamic potential. It's also supported by 2 other bugs, that means your players can be 41 and potentially still be improving. The first bug is one that I also only just learnt. Sometimes when a player is declining, maybe they're over the age of 30 and they're starting to lower in overall rating, you can retrain someone to a position they don't know and their overall will stop moving. Their stats will stay exactly the same, and the player will basically never age. It's a crazy bug, but it means that you can keep someone like Harry Kane as a 91 rated player forever, as long as you're training him as a defender or a midfielder. So that was one of the newest bugs, but if you always make sure your player has 13 months left on their contract, another bug means they can never retire. There's also yet another bug that means once a player is 40 years old, their stats will never change. So combining all of these things together, we can produce some amazing players that are over the age of 40. The contract glitch is something that's been the case for years, and there's no actual limit to when you can stop this. People have had a 70-year-old Kazuyoshi Miura, or even a 50-year-old Gianluigi Buffon playing for the Italian national team in the year 2038. If we combine all of these glitches, that means that your 92 rated Harry Kane can reach 46 years old in career mode this year, be 91 overall still, with 70 pace, and if you win enough Ballon d'Ors, his potential will also increase to be 99. It is a shame we've not figured out a way to make overalls improve once they've reached 40, but I'm sure there will be a bug out there somewhere that means we can do this. But dynamic potential could be the key to getting a 99 rated team of players who are over 40 years old. So, you can see that dynamic potential can be pretty unbalanced, and personally, I think it would be a good change to make every single player's potential lower and use dynamic potential on every single player in the game to make the feature more important. I mean, on day 1 of FC25, there's about 20 players who are under 17 years old and have over 85 potential. The chances are that if you use the Youth Academy feature of career mode, you'll have more than this within one season. It kind of makes dynamic potential not that important after you've started getting through regens, but if you don't want to use glitches, it really does make the game a lot less static as well. I think with these changes and a bit of rebalancing, I think dynamic potential could be an amazing idea that makes career mode absolutely perfect, but honestly, I'm surprised it does make as much sense as it does already, even if you can combine it with glitches to use it in some pretty ridiculous ways. Hopefully you've learned something about career mode, even if it was just one of those things that aren't dynamic potential related, but thank you for watching, really do appreciate it. I'll see you soon, cheers and goodbye.